Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Monday, September 12th, 2022. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Monday, everyone. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame. One thing you'll notice here is the ES is trading just above the previous week's high and close price. Previous week's high and close way up here. Previous week's lows way down here, the midpoint somewhere in this zone here. And to have a small range here develop above a previous week's high and close after a high range week or relatively high range week, there could be a tendency to fade back in. So keep an eye on the previous week's high and close. Any failure to stay above that early this week could be an indication of a fade back into the range. If we fade back down, we have a potential target at 39.80. 39.80 is the previous week's midpoint. Again, that's just above this line and this FOMC key level of 39.77. So 39.80 would be that target if a failure at the previous high 40.80 happens. So a failure there and you're rotating back down early this week. If it's going to remain bullish, if we're going to continue to see strength after last week's strength, then the early pullback this week would be defended and we'd follow in with some continued strength here later on in the week. So that's how that would play out if we remain bullish here. But at the moment, we are testing a big time overhead support level, turn resistance, that 4100 level. That's where the breakdown occurred. We're back at that level now. And again, if there's any failure here, we could be opening the week with a pullback here. Again, keep an eye on the previous week's high. If we take a look here at the NQ, very similar price action here. This market is also holding above the previous week's high and close. Both the previous week's high and close very, very close to each other. And right now, you can see price sitting right above that area. Again, if there's a failure here to hold above the previous week's close and high, we could be rotating back down. 12.6 is going to be kind of that level to watch. A failure to hold 12.6 and we're rotating back down. 12.400 would be last week's midpoint. 12.400 right around that breakout point. So if we do falter at the previous week's high of 12.6, there could be an easy 200-point pullback into that 12.4 level. And again, if price can hold on this pullback, maybe there's a bounce back up and maybe continue higher. But 12.8 is a big time level, very similar to that 4100 level in the ES. If price fails to push through 12.8 here, again, we could be looking at another push, not only back toward 12.4 on the pullback here, but perhaps even back down to 11.8 as this lower distribution develops. So again, keep an eye on that 12.8 level. If we take a look here at crude oil right now is up 1.65%. A decent bounce here off the recent lows. If you recall, this one had a tremendous breakdown here, a huge transition type day. Price dropped from the 87.22s all the way to 81.50. The next day, a failed new low, 81.20. Extreme reversal buy signal, S3 buy signal, and we've bounced back to recover 86. 86 is the key level here. To stay above 86s, especially on this early pullback, suggests more strength, and that strength takes us to the previous month's close and perhaps to the previous month's midpoint at 92. One thing we mentioned before was if we do get that big time breakdown, to re-establish acceptance above 86 would suggest that this expanding range is in play, and that can take us to this midpoint fairly quickly and perhaps to the opposite edge of the expanding range, which would be somewhere between 98 and 100. So right now, decent hold above 86s. Any pullback into that zone, bulls want to keep bid for a shot at 92 early this week. If we take a look here at Bitcoin, right now Bitcoin's up 4.7%. The previous session here, price rallied 9-10% and was able to hold those gains the rest of the session. Here in after hours overnight trading here, heading into the pre-market, we've seen quite a bit of strength, and here into the RTH Open still holding those gains. So a very nice 2-day move, 19K all the way to 22,500. That's a big swing here in just shy of 2 days here. Is this market going to be able to continue higher back toward 25K. We're inside this larger range. You have that 22.5, 2200 kind of area right here, 22K rather, level here that's important. So again, this market kind of looking for some sort of significant energy, and instead it had been kind of finding lows. And this huge day up on Friday, if we can continue to hold above that zone here, we could be looking at a continuation back for a big test of 25K. A failure here and a lower high could be significant. So again, this market barely staving off the 18K level so far. If we take a look at ETH, ETH has continued to hold that 1400 level. We've seen failed new lows. We've seen this thing continue quietly higher. But again, as we've noted before, that 1300 level is very, very important. If it continues to hold that zone, there is a sideways to upward bias here as it continues to outperform. Bitcoin, a failure here, and we have a very quick test at lows for the year. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.